Hi, my name is Shuhuai. Today I'm going to talk about becoming a psychological consultant in China. In China, an increasing number of students choosing psychology as their major, and many of them aim to become a psychological consultant. But in fact, China's current psychological consulting field is still not mature. It is difficult for undergraduate psychology students to engage in related work, especially those who want to enter a university as a teacher or do research. Psychology is facing a harder time overall in China than in many other Western countries. These difficulties can be divided into three factors, which are first, imperfect education and training system. Second, there are some misconceptions in Chinese society about psychological counseling. Third, the cost of personal growth of a qualified consultant is huge. First, imperfect education and training system. Due to the policy of Chinese universities, the development of college psychology is far less than that of some Western countries. Many college teachers have had the idea of doing a psychological counseling, but most have not become a reality. Psychology research attaches importance to science, data, and experimental research, but college teachers who are engaged in psychological counseling usually do not have much more research funding. For students, this means that they cannot publish papers and cannot graduate. Also, teachers in the counseling center generally do not have high income and generally only lives on the daily expenses allocated by the school. The psychological counseling industry is only one of the branches in the development of psychology. There are very few experts who really research in this piece. The psychology department of Chinese universities hardly developed the direction of psychological counseling. The universities like Peking University and Beijing Normal University value scientific research, but most based on advanced high-level neurology. The psychological counselation itself is not in line with the development of requirements of the Department of Psychology. So, the task of training and educating psychological counseling talents is handed over to the society and to the market. However, this will lead to the second problem, which we will talk about next. All in all, it is really difficult to train a counselor in Chinese society. The next reason is located in the market. Due to the misconceptions of Chinese society about psychological counseling, it's really difficult to prove a counselor's skill. Like many problems have lead to a low level of acceptance of psychological counseling in society. There are even many people who think that psychological counseling is not much different from chatting with a friend. But it doesn't matter. The market is mainly determined by demand. In fact, when people really feel uncomfortable, they will naturally think about psychological counseling. The question now is, what kind of counselor can we trust? If there is a problem, where can people find effective psychological consultation? The imperfection of the system leads to the decline of the service, and the poor service further leads to the society's distrust of the entire psychological consulting industry. In fact, China started the counseling system for psychological counselors as early as 2002. But this system was cancelled recently in 2017. For the psychology field in China, the counselor certificate is a double-edged sword. On one hand, this has let the public know that the profession of psychological counselors through 16 years and has attracted a group of people to learn psychology through examinations. On the other hand, the public's acceptance of psychological counseling has spawned a large number of rapid training institutions for examination and training, and some registration agencies. The important reason is that the public only know that the psychological counselor qualification certificate and does not know that this certificate cannot truly identify the professional and non-professionals. By saying that, I mean there are many consultants in China who have the certificate but they know nothing about psychological counseling. Plus, Chinese people often mix the conception of psychological consulting and psychotherapy. Zhang writes in his article, for example, counseling is often referred as 心理咨询, or counseling psychology as 咨询心理学, and psychotherapy as 心理治疗. People often mix these conceptions. In a word, it's really difficult to prove a counselor's skill. The third reason is that the personal growth of a qualified consultant, which is the word input, is huge. Technicians may be able to work directly after receiving training, but for counselors, the internship period has just begun after their graduation. A qualified consultant from entry to success, it takes him a long time and a lot of money. Gao wrote in his article in 2017 that, of course, if you have other sources of income, that will be the best, because you can concentrate on doing what you love. By saying that, Gao means that rich families can support their children learning to become a consultant without worrying their income. But in China, only a few families can be like this. In conclusion, becoming a consultant is very difficult in China. Not only because that China have an imperfect education and training system, also the Chinese society have many misconceptions about psychological counseling. What's more, personal growth of a qualified consultant is huge for a college student. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.